Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing, y'all. So you know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, big news out of the middleweight division, right? Big news, right? You got your boy Gennady Golovkin, who will not fight Canelo next, in September. Everything is relative right now. We know that none of the fights are happening, and none of the people who say they're gonna fight anybody, we don't know anything. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, so we can really stop with all of that, really. But we do know that Gennady Golovkin was offered to fight from Canelo next because obviously these fights that were supposed to happen in May, stuff like that, are not. So they're thinking of going into that fight into September, which won't happen either. But just next, right? And Gennady Golovkin wants that trilogy with Canelo. At least we thought. He doesn't want that fight next. His trainer Jonathan Banks came out and said they offered it to us. We don't want to take that. We think we should have two fights in between. Now, pro Gennady Golovkin here, you'd be like, hey, well, hold up, but you should after this, pandemic and everything. Who knows what when you're in weight classes, right, and you're not heavyweight and you got to get down the weight and be in a certain weight, that's hard to do right now for a lot of fighters. Probably not the very rich ones, but the ones that it's pretty hard to do right now. It's not easy because you have to watch out for certain things, and we all know it. So that's one thing. But when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, who I think won the first fight between him and Canelo, I think he won it easily, not easily, but handily. It should have been his. It wasn't a draw. And the second fight, I think Gennady Golovkin had a draw because he was the champion. Canelo stood in front of him, definitely, which didn't look good for Gennady Golovkin because he asked for it at Mexican style. He got it, but that still doesn't mean that the title should have changed hands because I don't think Canelo beat him up. It was a very close fight, and I think when it was a very close fight, and one of them is a champion, the title shouldn't change hands. But it's Canelo we're talking about here, so Canelo has a win and a draw, and I think it should have been the other way around. I think Gennady Golovkin should have had a win and a draw. But that leaves me with Gennady Golovkin. With that being said, he won't fight anyone hard, and he sees that Derenchenko. A lot of people say he arguably lost that fight, but we can all agree it was close. And Steve Rose before Steve Rose, Vanis Monterosen, come on, wasn't even in the weight division, was off. And, now you want to fight Semereta, who was not the mandatory when they started wanting to fight him. A lot of people will get that wrong, like I told you then. They're going to trying to make him mandatory so they can say, hey, we're going to at least fight our mandatory. But it is to note that the guy has 4 knockouts. And Gennady Golovkin, the reason why he wouldn't fight Charlo when he was mandated to fight Charlo is because he's not going to be able to walk him down. Gennady Golovkin wants to be able to walk people down and look like he's doing something, like he's the aggressor and he's the man coming forward and this and that. And that wouldn't happen against a lot of fighters. So that now he wanted the Canelo fight, and Canelo is not going to fight certain people either, right? He's not going to fight certain people either. This Billy Joe Saunders fight is out, so Gennady Golovkin's the easiest look. And it's a look where, just like Kovalev was, where people can think, oh, well, at least he went up to the weight division to fight Kovalev. And then they ignored that Canelo didn't fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed, right? So it still sounded cool. And with Golovkin, hey, it's at least the trilogy fight. Like we don't know Andrade doesn't exist over there in the middleweight division, and Charlo don't exist in the middleweight division, right? Those are guys you haven't fought that's been calling him out since the 154-pound division. They're not new. They're champions in 154, wanted Golovkin and Canelo. Now they're 160, want Golovkin and Canelo. Documented here all the time. So because those fights are not happening, that's why this one was supposed to happen. Now let's see what Canelo does now. He'll be calling up Royata Murata again. Royata Murata, Murata Murata, Vamonos. He's going to go back to that because he's not going to fight Andrade or Charlo. And neither is Golovkin. So that puts everybody, between a rock and a hard place because Golovkin is going to fight Semereta. And let's be honest, Semereta hasn't fought anybody. He was the mandatory. Now they put him there, and he shouldn't be, right? And that's just ridiculous in the weight division, in this middleweight weight division. But we'll see what happens. Now, for other news that's under the rug, same time, Jaime Munguia, the Mexican that's 35-0 with 28 knockouts. He's the WBO mandatory. I said it before, but I'm going to keep mentioning it because no one else will. When you hear Jaime Munguia's name, right, he's the WBO mandatory. That means he's the mandatory for your boy, Demetrius Andrade. He don't only want to fight the championship fight. And I've said back then, What mandatories don't want the title fight? What mandatories don't want the fight the title for the title? Mandatories are the loudest people in boxing. Mandatories are the loudest people in boxing. I'm the mandatory. What's up with my title shot? Right? He don't want it. When you in the articles, this is a huge story in itself. A guy with that record does not want to fight Demetrius Andrade because he's the titleist and he's the mandatory. So that's why Demetrius Andrade fighting Leon Williams or Smith, one of them Leons. Get which one it is, right? That's who we got to fight. And we're going to say, well, Demetrius Andrade doesn't fight nobody, right? You got a hungry lion coming up, and he don't want to fight him, even though he's the mandatory. It's ridiculous. A huge story. It should be headlines all over the place. But when you see Jaime Munguia's name, what you're going to be seeing is, well, he's destined to fight Canelo. And, he's the one that's going to fight Canelo. You understand? You're the mandatory. You know what you could do? You could beat up Demetrius Andrade and then fight Canelo, and you're a titleist. Nope, we're gonna skip that. Whatever it is to do to skip Demetrius Andrade and Charlo too. And that's what all this is about. This is all this about. Because Canelo and Jaime Golovkin say forget Samaretta, let me do what the WBC told me to and what I was mandated, right, to fight Charlo, so let me do that. Canelo, hey, I could have had an undisputed fight with Charlo. We could have one middleweight champion. Let me maybe do that. It ain't for undisputed no more, but still a huge fight, right? Let me do that. And then the winner of those two fight. So really easy to do, but it ain't going to happen. And the problem is, well, it's got a few problems, but the problem is, are Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo. The other problem is that the fans know that these guys are dangerous, and so they don't want to see it, or they act like they don't want to see it. The boxing media acts like they didn't see a Demetrius Andrade undisputed fight. So here we are now, right? And now Golovkin don't even really want to fight Canelo next, right? He's hell bent on Camille Zemaretta, guys. Camille Zemaretta, mandatory, all right? And most of the time when we're talking other people who want to fight Golovkin, when Charlo, who has Charlo fought? Who has Charlo been? Charlo was a champion and a bad dude, and you know it. Now, where's the who you gonna fought? Who has he fought with Camille Samaretta? I haven't seen any articles or comments saying of such. Haven't seen anybody say Golovkin should fight Charlo or Andrade. I haven't seen anybody say Canelo should fight Charlo or Andrade. Right? Like two guys with the titles in the middleweight division are invisible and do not exist if you let them tell it. And they're lucky only about 20 people come here because I'm going to keep saying it. Doma Sports Talk worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.